Welcome everybody to the Lunenburg Zoning Board of Appeals. First, I'd like to introduce the board so we can have a roll call. Lisa Normandin, our secretary, board secretary, is here.
Here.
James Bezikowski,
Hi, all. Here.
Patrick Callahan,
Here, yeah.
David Blatt,
Here.
Hans Winthrop.
He's on mute.
Is Hans here?
Hans, you're on mute.
Here, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. I do have to read a notice concerning, this is Wednesday, May 27th. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread, and all town facilities are currently closed to the public. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A, Section 20, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. This meeting will be broadcast live through local access cable on Facebook Live on the public access Facebook page. It can be found in the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours after the meeting. The following information is also provided to members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please see the link below to join the public meeting webinar, which is https://zoom.us/j/886-328-78232. Or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter webinar ID 888-3287-8232. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. Note, no participant ID is needed. Just press the pound sign when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. The Lunenburg Zoning Board will hear the petition of Sean E. and Danielle K. Farrow, 577 Ashby West Road, Fitchburg, Mass. 01420. The property, which is the subject of this case, is located at 31 Round Road, Lunenburg, Mass. The petitioners are seeking a special permit for a dimensional variation to add a 36 by 66 storage garage on the property. This action will require front and side setback dimensional variances. And with that, again, I'd like to remind you that this hearing is being recorded in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access. The way the hearing will proceed is Lisa will read the application and any other submitted communications. And then at that time, we'll have the applicant or address and present any other information he would like to at that time. And we will be able to ask him questions at that time. And if there is any public comment, there will be a public comment period at the end. This is a special permit for a variance of dimensional requirements. So the required findings are that the permit may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially degrading from the intent and purpose of the bylaw. The specific site is an appropriate location for such building or alteration. The proposed building or alteration is compatible with the existing neighborhood regard to size, location, and architecture. The granting of the special permit will not adversely affect the neighborhood. The granting of the special permit will not unreasonably diminish the available light, air, sunlight, and other amenities. and there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. And with that, I would ask Lisa to please read the petition.
Okay, this is an application for a special permit for dimensional variation, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, Zoning Board of Appeals. The name and address of each applicant is Sean E. and Danielle K. Farrow, 577 Ashby West Road in Fitchburg, Mass. The undersigned hereby appeals as follows: seeking a special permit for dimensional variation to build a garage. The application for same dated 4/27/20 was submitted to the building inspector and was denied by the same for the reasons stated in the letter attached hereto. The proposed action has not begun. The basis for this application is found in the following section of the Lunenburg zoning bylaw, 5.2A1, 8.3B2, and 5.3A2. The address of the property is 31 Round Road, assesses map 137-26. Name and address of each holder of legal title to the land, which is the subject of this case, is Sean E. and Danielle K. Farrow, 577 Ashby West Road in Fitchburg. And the deed is recorded in Worcester Northern District Registry of Deeds, Book 9347, page 250, recorded 6/17/19. If the undersigned has any knowledge of a prior appeal, application, or petition concerning the land or buildings involved in this case, and the dates involved, in August 8th of 2012, a special permit was granted to demolish the cottage and build a new home, and it was granted. The special permit questions and answers are as follows. Will the proposed action be injurious or dangerous to the public health or unduly hazardous because of traffic congestion, danger of fire or explosion, or other reasons? The reply: no, the proposed action is for the secured storage of personal motor vehicles and personal watercraft. All construction will be performed on private property and will be conducted with the utmost care, including following all OSHA regulations and any other additional regulations set forth from the town of Lunenburg. B, will this action have a material adverse effect on the value of land and buildings in the neighborhood or on the amenities of the neighborhood? The reply is no, the action will not have a negative effect on the value of land or surrounding buildings, as it is an improvement to the proposed land with the potential of even increasing neighboring property values. C, will the proposed action be operated with reasonable regard for order and sightliness if in open use? The reply: the proposed action is for personal, car, and watercraft storage and will not have open use to the public. Potential building will be maintained in accordance with all neighborhood regulations. And D, will the proposed action produce noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare observable at the lot lines in amounts clearly detrimental to the normal use of adjacent property? The reply is no. No additional noise, vibration, dust, odor, heat, or glare will be added that would affect adjacent properties. Potential building's sole purpose is the storage of personal automobile and watercraft. Thank you for your time, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any further questions or need clarification on any answer provided. And he left a phone number and an email address, and that's signed sincerely, Michael Murphy, Fine Trim and Construction. And it was signed on April 1 by Sean Farrow of 577 Ashby West Road and Michael Murphy, 75 West Shore Drive in Ashburnham, Mass. There is a letter from the homeowner, Sean Farrow, to whom it may concern. I, Sean Farrow, give permission to have Michael Murphy with Michael Murphy Fine Trim and Construction speak on my behalf regarding any permitting issues, discussions relating to my property at 31 Round Road, Lunenburg. If you have any questions pertaining to this matter, he can be reached at, and he left a phone number. There's another letter to whom it may concern. Thank you for the opportunity to present my proposal for your consideration. Attached are pictures of neighboring buildings of the proposed project. As you can see, there are several structures built within the town's recommended setbacks in the area. If you have any questions or would like to discuss this further, please don't hesitate to contact me. And it has his name and email address, and it's signed by Michael Murphy. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 abutting properties that it shows their photograph with proximity to the location. There is also a assessors abutters map and an abutters list, and plans of the proposed garage and the site plan. Also, I have received 2 letters from abutters that I will read, I think. The first one, I received via email. My name is Jacqueline M. Graylow, and I have life tenancy at 23 Round Road, Lunenburg, Mass. And I'm opposed to granting a variance to encroach on the setbacks along our street property line for the proposed structure of 31 Round Road. Thank you. And that's signed Jacqueline Draylow. And I have one more that I will read. And this one is dated May 20th, 2020. To the zoning board members, I am writing to you as an immediate abutter to the property in question, 31 Round Road, applying for a variance to the setback regulations currently in place. I'm opposed to the granting of this permit to encroach the setbacks. The structure being proposed is much larger than any secondary building or garage I've seen anywhere in the area, both in footprint and height. The plans show a 16-foot tall wall dimension set on top of a foundation that is above grade and pitch roof that puts the total height of the structure at about 30 feet. This is approximately the size of a 2-story building that will effectively create a very tall 66-foot wall along with arm's reach along my property. We have recently been considering building a new home on our lot, and the back of a 66-foot and 30-foot high garage so close to the property line is not something I want to look at, and I feel it would negatively affect the value of my property. I can't imagine anybody would want such a large structure encroaching on them. Regardless of the positioning of the structure, I would create a 2,376 square foot based on dimensions that would be impermeable to water and cause additional runoff so that needs to go somewhere. I don't know if the issue has been addressed, and it will certainly affect our property with runoff, and this building is allowed to be constructed at the current dimensions and encroach on the setbacks. Unfortunately, the current garage that was allowed to encroach on the 15-foot setback was pushed through without our input, and I do not want a much larger structure even closer to the property line. I'm not opposed, for the most part, allowing people to build within reasonable limits on their property, but this structure seems excessively large for a secondary garage, no matter where it is placed, and in my opinion, certainly should not be allowed 5 feet from the property line. I have not seen anywhere in the application any reasons or hardship stated that would require encroaching on the setback rather than moving the structure to meet the setback regulations. I would think the setbacks and dimensions set in the bylaws are there for this very reason, so as not to negatively affect abutting property owners and give neighboring properties some breathing room. Thank you for giving my objections to allow this variance your serious consideration. Sincerely, William and Janet Dumbleton. And they included a sketch. I know it was 2 pages, but I'm sure you had it. Oh, here it is. I think you have it. It's, oops, sorry. It's, below is a clip from Google Maps of Round Road. The blue square is the approximate positioning of the proposed structure and its positioning to the road if this permit is given to encroach with standard setback distances. The orange block is a portion of my driveway. As you can be seen from the large picture, there are no other structures as close to the road as this proposed building. The closest any structure comes to the edge of Round Road is 20+ feet, and those are not even half the size of this proposed building. And then I'll just show you a little picture of what the photo is. Mm-hmm. I know it's small, but I can't do any better than that. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Okay, and with that, I would invite the applicant or the representative to address some of the issues, especially pertaining to the size of this and why the dimensional variation is needed.
Very good. How you doing? My name is Mike Murphy. I'm representing Sean and Danielle Farrell. I'm new to this, so bear with me here. The reason for the variance is trying to maximize the lot property as well as minimize the excavation. There's a large hill that will come into a change in grade that will come into effect if the variance is not allowed. There's also a couple of well-established trees that are trying to be left on the property to, you can't replace a 30-year-old tree. So that's the reason for the issue in the setbacks.
Okay. This garage, it is unusually large for a 3-car garage. I mean, a large garage for 3 cars would normally be 40 feet by 30 feet deep. And you're looking for a 36 feet deep by a 66. Could you explain the reason for that?
It's just personal storage. He's got a number of vehicles that he'd like to keep out of the weather. He puts stackable lifts in there to maximize the storage as well. Just a building that he's comfortable with holding all of his toys.
Okay, can you just for some reference, the current garage that is there is certainly much smaller. What is the setback to that garage from the property up?
That's approximately 9 feet.
9 feet. Okay. And do you know the height of that?
That's roughly 16 feet tall, I would say.
Okay. And on the street side, the front side, there is a little shed there.
Yes, there's
Back from that to the street.
yes. That's being removed as well. It's a carport type deal.
Okay. Also, looking at one of the prints, I see on the height of this garage, are you putting a cement foundation?
Yes, it is going on a foundation, so I can address that. So if we're 10 inches above grade is what is required to start your framing. So that's 10 inches of foundation, even if we call it a foot. With 16-foot walls, that's 17 feet. With a 6 pitch, that puts us at 9 feet to the midspan, which puts the total height of the building at 26 feet.
Okay. 26. Okay, with that, I'll open up to the other board members. Any other board?
The present size of the property is almost an acre. And I've been over there a couple times, and I see absolutely no reason why this could not conform more. I know you said that there was a tree or 2 trees, but they are about 30 to 40 feet away from the present side of the present garage. There's also about a 20 to 30 foot span from the present garage to the road. I did not see another shed or otherwise. I saw 2 pieces of bulldozing equipment and something. So I see that there's no hardship. I'm sorry, if a tree has to come down, that's his choice of where he wants and what he has to do for a size of a building. The other question that I had primarily, when this was done or the house was rebuilt back in 2012, were there provisions for anything about a garage back then? Was there a garage or anything else? And I think the 5 foot to the back of the property is totally unrealistic. for the people in concern. The average for the house looks like about 15 to 20 feet. Why not be consistent with what the house is instead of pushing it back closer to the fence?
Again, just trying to maximize the square footage of the property.
But maximizing it for what purpose? To use everything, to have it all open and to get his property or his buildings as close to the edge to leave it all open? Not considering the neighbors and other zoning bylaws?
Well, with all due respect, he is considering the neighbors. That's why you go through this appeal process, correct?
It is, but if there's almost nothing on the street that's closer than 20 to 30 feet from the street, and most other neighbors have at least 10, if not 15, 20 feet from their neighbor's property, why is he not considering that?
He is considering that. We are considering that.
But it sounds like he's being inconsiderate, not considerate. I'm sorry if I'm being rude or sounding rude.
That's all right. I understand.
That all, Jim?
Yes, that's it for now. Thank you.
Any other members?
I have one question. The existing garage, I think it's kind of like a white vinyl sided garage. I think it's building B on the print. Do you know how far that is off of the road currently?
I don't have that directly in front of me. Are you talking about the 3-car garage or the adjacent building that's right there? The small single garage type deal.
Yeah, it's the kind of the white one that's kind of facing what I think this building is also going to be facing.
That's roughly 15 feet from the arborvitae's. I'm not exactly sure where the road frontage stops, but that's probably 15 feet from the property line.
Okay. And that one you said was roughly 9 off the.
Yes, both of the existing buildings are in line with the property line and both about 9 to 10 feet off of the abutter's property.
Okay, and it's kind of removed on my picture, but it says the structures are. It looks like it says moved, but those are removed, correct?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Just the way the picture's cut off, it says moved on mine.
So, Mr. Chair, a couple of quick questions. Mr. Murphy, can you clarify, Mr. Callahan was talking about structure B. This is the existing garage that's there. You're saying that that's only 15 feet from the property line?
No, the existing garage is 10 feet from the property line.
No, that's the single car. Are you talking about the carport is
No,
10 feet?
And the 3-car garage is roughly 10 feet from the property line.
So that's not what it's showing in this plan. What you're showing in the plan is that this garage is going to go completely through structure A and be 10 feet from the property line. Structure B is showing itself probably a good 20 feet from structure A. And that's what I'm trying to understand. So I'm trying to understand where structure B is in location to the property line in the front property line. The road in relationship to the road. And I'm also trying to understand the dimensions of structure B that sits there today.
Structure B is removed.
I understand that, but I'm trying to get a perspective of what I'm looking at today and what you're, as opposed to what you're
Today,
proposing.
Structure B is basically a carport.
Okay. And that you're saying is
Rough,
15.
is roughly 10 feet off of the abutter's property line and 15 feet from the street.
And so what is structure A then? Is structure A on top of the street or in the street then?
I'm confusing structure A with structure B. I don't have the overlay in front of me, so
Okay.
excuse me for that. So structure B being closer to the lake.
Yep.
Right.
So
That is-
structure B is the existing 3-car garage,
Okay, and what is the dimensions of that garage roughly?
roughly 28 by 30.
28 by 30, and 30 being the depth, or 30 being the length?
Depth.
Depth, okay. And that structure B is how far from the road?
That structure B is probably 25 feet from the road. Maybe a little bit better.
Okay. All right. All right. And then if I look at, bear with me a second here. I just lost something here. Okay. If I look at now structure B, you said the height of structure B, the wall is an 8-foot wall today?
No. 14 feet to the ridge.
To the ridge? No, I'm talking about the back,
Probably not, yeah, 8 feet.
8 feet. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're proposing doubling that height, and then as well as a structure that's going to be roughly 15 feet on either direction from that, from the points of that triple car garage right now.
Correct.
Okay. So I also have, to me, it sounds like we need a height variation as well. Because if we're looking at it as 16 feet plus a foot for the foundation, that's 17 feet. And the bylaw says that any horizontal distance between the 2 points of the vertical, that roof line would have to be at 16 feet. I'm going to give it 16 feet just to be nice, would have to be at least 11 feet, 12 feet from the property line. So you need to be even further than that from the property line for the height dimension as well.
If the variance is approved, then you have to, I'm confused on this now.
So the variance you're asking for is a setback variance.
Correct.
However, there is also the setback variance. It needs to be, you would
Include
still need it to be
a
at least
height
12
variance.
for a height variance as well.
Okay.
David,
Okay.
that is correct.
Yeah. So the minimum we can say is 12 feet based on what you're saying, what you're even asking for today. 11 feet. I'll be nice and say 11 feet is the minimum based on just what you're, because you're not coming to us for a height variance.
Can I just interject?
Yes.
The building inspector wrote a letter which did relate to the height, but when I read the application, I didn't see it. Maybe if someone has that letter in their pack.
We did ask for a height variance in the application process. I'm not sure, but
It is in the,
314.
It was 5.3A2. It was the third one.
That pertains to height.
right, it does pertain to the height. And if I can find Casey's letter, but
I see it now. It says it right there in the last sentence of his letter. It says, under section 250-5.3A2, the height of the accessory building would be dictated by the close proximity to the side yard setbacks unless also approved as otherwise with the special permit. So right now we're looking for a setback dimension. We're looking for a street dimension. We're looking for a height dimension and my last question to you is, what is the size of the existing house?
how many square feet?
Well, if you're looking at this building being 36 by 66, how big is the house? Is the house 36 by 66 itself?
No, the house is bigger than that.
It looks smaller, and that's why it looks smaller in in the plans here. That's why. And it looks smaller than that when I went by. Okay. All right. And the reason being that this structure cannot be closer to the house and further from the road and further from the setback, the lot line?
Just trying to maximize the property and minimize the excavation coming into the hill.
And where is this hill?
The hill is, it would be at the end of the building. There's a large mound from the road to the current house.
Okay. So if you pushed it right next to the house, you would be right on top of that hill, you're telling me.
Correct. We'd have to cut into that hill.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. All right. And you're saying the house is 15 feet from the side road setback. Okay.
The house is 15 feet from the setback. There's an overlay on a set of plans that you guys have that shows the house footprint.
Okay. So, all right. So, I have no further questions at this point, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, David. Okay, is Hans with us or not?
He's got to go off mute.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman. I think everybody's kind of addressed my questions. The only concern I have is I went down there and took a look at it. I don't see any reason why they couldn't move this back off the property line. Given the fact, I mean, I measured out 66 feet. It's pretty long. So, I mean, that abutter, I kind of have to concur with them. I mean, I wholeheartedly believe that somebody can do what they want on their property, but it has to be with the zoning bylaws. If he was coming to us and saying that he wanted to build within the existing footprint, I don't think I'd have a problem with it because it's pre-existing. But the abutter's driveway is right there on the other side of where this is, and 66 feet is a long way to go. I mean, it is big. And I don't see any reason why, just out of sheer convenience for the applicant, because he doesn't want to build into the house or put it closer to the house, that he can clearly come off 15 feet off the side back. And, you know, I might be willing to give him a little distance off the frontage, but he could move it back. Either that or he can scale back the garage and come back to us with something a little bit more palatable. But that's my opinion.
Thank you, Hans. Okay, I kind of have some of the same concerns. Some of the questions I was asking about dimensions earlier was these same concerns. One thing you said is the garage is about 10 feet from the side yard, and how, you know, it's much smaller, and now you want to go 5 feet, so you want to go closer to the side yard. And that would require, as David said, a height variance and the side yard variance as well. So I'm not really in favor of that side yard at this point. The front yard, I'm thinking that, you know, right now, you would need a variance on that front as well towards the street for the height. If you brought that back, I would say check this, Dave. If he brought it back to 20 feet, I think he could go 25 feet. And I think you told me our height was going to be 26 to the peak. Is
Correct.
that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so and I don't know if that still would require a 1 foot, but I'm not really sure how the rest of the board feels. I definitely don't think that the side yard, because there's also, if I look at the plan in the drive that goes to the current, I'm going to say garage, which it really doesn't go quite to it. There's quite a bit of land right there, and I don't see any reason why you really need to push that back against that fence, against the side yard. With that, I don't know if any other board member has any comments.
The only other comment I'd have, Mr. Chairman, is I really do think in this particular instance, for me personally, that the building, the way it's situated and the way it's presented would have a materially adverse effect on the abutter, which I typically have an issue with. So I'm wondering whether it might be feasible for the applicant to talk to his the owner and perhaps continue the hearing and come back with something a little bit more, a little different dimensions, and maybe meet the minimum side yard setback and then come back with a revised front yard setback. I don't know what the rest of the members think about that, but as it stands right now, I'm not sure I can support the application.
Okay, thank you. I would agree with what you're saying if they would like to ask for a continuance and then come up, maybe even downsize it, or, you know, if they go meet regulation, then we don't even have to see them again if they want to try for, I think all of us against the side yard from what I can hear, but I'm not really sure till we would actually take a vote, but it's kind of the tone, I think. So anyway, I would ask the representative if he would like to continue and come back with something a little different, or if you would like us just continue tonight, because we can go into deliberation and make a finding tonight.
Sure. I mean, I don't want to waste anybody's time, certainly. So if the side setback is not going to fly with anybody, I completely understand that. Can we address the front yard setback now, or would that be an additional application?
No, we can address it now. Does anybody have any, if we eliminate the side, would you like to address the front?
As I said before, I think the front, as I saw it today, if you take out what building is there, if there is one, is a carport, there was a bulldozer, which I know a bulldozer has got to be at least the length of a car or a mower. So that's 20 to 30 feet long. And that was flush or away from the roadside to the present 3-car garage. And there was equal to that distance on the other side towards the lake before there was a tree. So when Mr. Murphy is talking about a large mound, it's more like a sand hill, in my estimation, that if he wanted to continue, I would be agreeable if he wanted to have that measured and look into finding out exactly how far away it is, and or even considered a tiered garage, 2 stalls at one level and one maybe a foot higher for the 3rd stall, or something like that, which would be in keeping with the design of the house. Those are my thoughts. I have nothing else right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
Mr. Chair, my thoughts are that a building of this size, and I'm going to call it a building because it's pretty much the size of a house. Actually, it's larger than many houses. A building this size, I do not see a reason to have a front setback relief on this type of building, that it basically will impact sight lines, and it will impact other things that it doesn't make sense why we would have why they I don't see the hardship in this case that would cause this.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question. So, and I know several of the members have asked it, and I know the applicant has kind of addressed it, but I just want to make sure. If I'm looking at this piece of paper right here, the plot plan, in section B right here.
Can you actually hold that up a little bit, please? I'm sorry. Thank you.
This is the plot plan that came with the application. And so I'm asking right here on this, where it says B, is that the current existing 3-car garage that's there that I saw when I went down there?
That does not look like anything that I submitted, so I'm not sure what that is. Is that the overlay of the proposed garage with the 2 buildings inside of it?
Yes.
Yes, it is. I'll see if I can hold it up there.
Okay, I see that.
I scribbled on it.
Okay,
I'll circle. What I'd like to do is I went down there and I took a look at the property.
sure.
And I know what Jim's talking about in terms of like the knoll that comes up near the house. But what I want to know is this B right here, this that's on there, is that the existing 3-car port that I saw when I went down there?
Yes.
Okay. And so this little building that's closest to the property, was
Yep.
that where all the arborvitae's are right across over here? It's kind of a,
That's right. That is right in the corner of the property. It's a little carport, canvas top type deal that may already be removed. I'm not sure.
okay. Yeah, it might be. I couldn't really see with the arborvitae's and I didn't really want to go on the property.
Sure.
Here's my question for you. Do you know what the approximate distance is between Round Road and where that existing 3-car port garage is? That's what I want to know. What's that distance? Is that 25 feet?
I believe that's 30 feet.
It's 30 feet? I mean, these are the kind of questions that I'd like to know for next time. I mean, here's my suggestion, and this is just my personal suggestion. I'd like to know where that carport begins from the road, because if it's 30 feet, or even if it's 25 feet where you start the corner of the new building, I don't really have an issue with granting a setback, a 15-foot setback. I do have an issue as it's currently drawn, because I do think with Jim, there is some room to move over. And with all due respect, I understand that, your client's trying to maximize the space on the property, but it's almost like he's trying to maximize the space at the expense of the neighbor. And quite honestly, then the issue comes in for me is the property value. So if you were to keep the 15-foot setback and move it back a little bit and maybe scale it down, that to me is a little bit more feasible for me. But that's your call. That I'm not saying that. That's just I'm just looking at it. So that's what I want to know what that setback is from the
Of the existing building.
Yeah. That will help me immensely, just trying to figure out, what you're asking for and whether we could give you some relief. Because I understand he's a taxpayer too. So, but it's got to go both ways. We gotta be good neighbors.
Agreed.
All set, hon?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Listening to that conversation, basically, I think what he said is that current garage is 30 feet. He doesn't know for sure, might 25, might be 30. But what we could do, if you want to do it tonight, is no height variation, because at 30 feet, he wouldn't need it. At no side yard variance, because the size of the building just doesn't lend itself to giving that. So he would have to maintain the side yard. So the only thing we would be giving him tonight would be 10 feet on the setback from the road. And if it's, if that B garage is 25 feet, well, he's still gonna have to move 5 feet more and be 30. So I don't know if you guys are open to that, or you want to have him come back with a different plan, and we'll continue it, whatever you're open to. Or you could be against all of it.
Mr. Chair, so if you look at the B right now, if you look at here, let me try to do this here. Share. Here we go. Okay, so share screen. Okay. Folks can see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. So if you look at dimensions from this corner of B to the road, we're estimating that at like 30 feet. So
Correct.
you're saying now the dimension from the back, from the side lot, would still have to be that 15 feet or
That is correct.
so that would pull this, if it goes along with B, the whole structure would end up having to start, I'm going to say approximately here. I don't know if anybody can see my cursor.
Yeah.
We can.
Okay. So you say, no, actually the whole structure would have to be right about here. Is that what we're looking at right now?
That's about what I'm proposing. So that would be 15-foot setback. So if he's, 6 feet, you got to add the 15 to the fence to that.
Okay. So you're looking at it as,
1 feet, whatever it is, and then you would have to be 30 feet from the road.
From the road. Okay,
And it
Alright.
wouldn't matter where B is because like you say, you just pretend it's torn down and moved out and gone.
okay. All right,
But again, that still calls for a, front yard.
so, yeah, so we're given basically what you're proposing is a 10-foot relief on the front yard.
That is correct.
Okay, I can see that.
But again, I'm open to continuing it and letting them come back with whatever plan. Maybe they want to downsize it. I don't know.
So that's the question, Mr. Murphy, is are you willing to make a decision for them, or would you, do you think that would be, do you think what we're proposing is amicable to them?
I do think that's amicable. I think we can make that work. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, yep, we can hear
I
you.
believe we can make that work.
okay. Does anyone else, Jim or Hans or?
I don't understand by what he said. They can make that work.
We can.
It was proposed to possibly downsize in addition to relocating,
No, I don't think he's looking to downsize.
because they already have a 3-car garage.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically you're looking at an 8-car, 12-car garage, so. Here,
Yeah, it's live. What's the pleasure of the board?
so, let me just think. 85.
So, Mr. Chairman, it's Hans. Could before we make any more comment, could we hear from the public comments and then close it and then come back to the board?
We certainly can. So why don't we do that right now? Lisa, is anybody, Dave, anybody from the public?
I see someone there, but I don't know who it is.
Yes, hello. This is Bill Dumbleton. Thank you for letting me give some input here. I am an owner of 23 Round Road, the abutter in question here. I don't know, it seems that everything on and the current owner didn't have input to all of this, but it seems everything on this property is being pushed up against our property line. The main house is about, I think it just barely met specs at being 15 feet off of the property line abutting ours. If you look on that sketch that you were just showing, the septic system seems to be right smack up against our property line. Now it's underground and we can't see it, but that's also against the property line. There's a shed. I don't know if anybody walked down the property. It's a fairly good sized shed too. It's not just an 8x8. It's bigger than 8x8. But it is all the way down near the water's edge. And it is, I took a ruler and put it over the fence. I think it's 3 feet from the property line. And now we're talking about a very large structure, this 66 foot long. When you just talk about these numbers, sometimes it's hard to picture. I'm sure you guys do this all the time, but that is a large structure, only 5 feet from the property line. I think the structure is quite large, no matter where it gets put on the property compared to anything in the neighborhood. A 16-foot sidewall is literally the size of many two-story buildings. I'm kind of opposed to it, the size of it, period, regardless of where it goes on the lot. But I definitely am opposed to it being, giving any relief off of the setbacks. It's just a very large building, bigger than anything I've seen in the neighborhood. And going to your sketch again, it doesn't seem to be, the sketch obviously doesn't look like it's to scale because the garage looks a lot bigger than the house in that sketch. And I think we just heard that the house is bigger than the proposed new garage here. But it sounds like,
And those two buildings, we didn't know about, those got put on the lot line too.
yeah, but they're already there. And yeah, building B, which is shown on there now, I don't even think it has an 8-foot sidewall. I think it's lower than that, quite frankly. So this new building is big enough. I have to look at that when I come into the driveway. And, we are currently considering doing some building possibly in the future on our own lot. So we have to take that into consideration as well. So this is a very large building. We're opposed to the size. If it does need a variance for the size, I really think it should be scaled down a little bit. And we certainly don't think it should get a variance off of the standard 15-foot setback off of our property line. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the abutter while he's right here?
Mr. Chairman, I don't, but I would like just to tell the abutter that, if the applicant was 15 feet off the side yard setback and 40 feet back from the front of the road, they could build that there as is. And I think what we're trying to do is help you out by making sure that the applicant is off your side yard, because I agree with you. I think 66 is a big structure, but again, it's not my structure. But then again, we have to go about what the bylaw says, and that the bylaw says you have to be 15 feet. So we're trying to get you as much relief as we can. And we're also trying to, me personally, I'm also trying to make sure that, does it fit into the neighborhood? It's a personal opinion, but the bylaws are the bylaws, and it says they can do what they can do. So if they met all the setbacks, they could put the structure there where they wanted to put it. But I did read your letter, and I agree with you that one of the concerns that I have, and I always have, and one of the findings is that it doesn't have a material adverse effect on your land. So that's why I want to make sure that in this particular instance that we come off that side yet setback at least 15 feet to meet the requirements.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's just that I thought I heard someone say that it actually is over dimensional variance in height or something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
that's going to be determined by the building inspector.
Well,
Okay.
Once
if
we
it
figure that
was
out.
built with the side yards in the front, he would need a height variation. But what we proposed was that there would be no height variation, because he would have to build it within the bylaw. If we gave him the 10 feet on the front, he would think he would be okay with that if we went 30 feet. So we wouldn't have to give him any height variation. He'd have the right to build.
Okay.
Like Dave was saying, if he moved it back to the 40 feet and the 15 feet, he has the right to build it, as long as he meets all the setbacks and height.
No, I understand. And I mean, we were never approached, and not that he has to, but like you said before, being a good neighbor, you usually say, hey, I'm thinking about putting up a garage. It's going to be 66 feet long or whatever. And, what do you think about it? I want to stick it right on your property line. We're never approached like that at all for any kind of input. Like you said, if he's within, the bylaws and the structures, the size is allowed, I guess we wouldn't even be here. But yeah, it's just, that was my opinion, that the structure is big. But no, we would,
Off the lot line.
yeah, it's,
Right, and I think everybody on the board hears you on the side yard.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, again, I'll go back to the board. We can either continue it, ask them to come back with a different plan, different locations, maybe even downsize, just continue it to our next hearing. Or we can make a decision tonight. We can either deny, or we can deny the side and height and just go with a front. It's up to you guys. Does anybody have any thoughts on it, or anybody want to make any motion?
Here are my thoughts, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to continue the hearing, and I'd like the applicant to come back, because not that I don't take him for his word, but I really want to know what that dimension is between where the round road starts and the corner of that 3-car garage listed as building B in the plot plan. I'd like that dimension before I would give them any kind of consideration in terms of a setback variance.
Do you want to make that motion that we continue?
Yeah, so I'd make a motion that we continue the hearing, with time and day specific, and give the applicant time to come back to the board with a little bit more dimensions on that building B and a proposed new plot plan of where they're going to put the existing building and what those dimensions are.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that the hearing be continued. I think what he's asking for is more dimensions on the plan. Remove the side yard, make them stay within 15. So
Can I
make that
interrupt-
adjustment on
Can
the
I interrupt
plan.
for 1 second? I'm sorry.
May.
Is there any way that we can move forward with this with the 30-foot setback?
I think for boards telling me that they would prefer to continue.
Okay.
I think we'd like to see we'd like to see where he wants to site, where he's willing to site it on the plan. Based on that, as well as, I mean, it looks like you have electrical wires going across the property.
Yeah, we actually we feed the neighbor's property, which I believe they're in the process of removing.
Okay, so would they removing as in it's
That's
there?
in relocating the telephone poles.
Okay, so therefore that's also, if we're moving the structure 10 feet in and several feet back, it could be affecting those wires could be affected as well. So I'd like to see a plan with all of the dimensions on it, as well as a better indication of the actual final building height to the roof and to the peak, as well as to the bottom of the roof.
I would also like to consider having them rethink whether or not they need such a large building.
No, yeah.
They can think,
That's one of the
yeah.
things we're asking, if
They can
wanna
reconsider it.
Okay, right now we have a motion on the table and a second for a continuance to a date certain. I will take a vote on that. Jim,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Patrick.
Aye.
Hans,
Aye.
and I say aye. So it is going to be continued. We're looking for a new plan. We want to maintain the side setback. We want a new location where it is going to be proposed, and possibly, hopefully maybe downsized. Lisa, do we have a date certain?
How does June 24th at 7:30 sound?
That's good for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything sooner available?
Excuse me?
Is there anything sooner available?
We do have, let me just get my calendar back up. I didn't think of that. We meet the 10th and the 24th in June if needed.
Okay.
It's up to the chairman. We could hold it the 10th, but
Okay.
that's up to you, or we have two on the 24th. Your
Okay.
call.
Is everybody open for the 10th?
So I'm open, but we'd have to make sure that these plans would be in our hands several days before the actual hearing.
Correct.
I'll have-
I'll ask the applicant, and can you have those plans ready prior to?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Okay, there's been a motion and a vote to a continuance. It will be June 10th. So now will it be 7 o'clock, Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. So we will continue to the 10th at 7.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else before the board, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Actually, can I ask one question of the board?
Absolutely.
Does anyone know what's going on with the Avilo property? The one that that I'm wondering if they, the one where told him he had to clean up and he's done absolutely nothing. This
Oh,
is the one.
Oliva?
Oliva, yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
I know the building inspector had a meeting with him the week before last, so I haven't heard what the
outcome was.
outcome was.
Okay.
But we're back in the office on Monday, so
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
I can let you know.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay,
Okay.
there's nothing else.
All right, James, we'll let you make your motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night, folks.
Night,
Good night,
everyone.
Tracy.